I'm a little excited. I know we had a lot of conversations and kind of debates about running it back, but as we get closer to the season, it's almost looking like we'll probably at least start the season with the same core. But I'm looking for them to get more opportunities. Christian Wood, we've seen him be effective as a pick and pop type center. I think if he gets the right looks, he can definitely stretch the floor, hit a lot more threes, hopefully consistently and stay healthy. Same with Rui. I think the biggest thing with Rui is he struggled to get a lot of easy looks early into games. I think JJ Redick can definitely draw up plans to kind of keep him involved throughout the series of a game. Even if it's like, okay, we talk about him as a rebounder. He showed he can be a guy to get a double double if he's in the right spot. So maybe JJ Redick, he talked a lot about he wanted to focus on this team at overall rebounding. Maybe he implements Rui into that a lot more. He definitely has the size and the potential to be, I mean, I don't want to use the word elite, but I mean above average in that category for his size. I mean, he's pretty much has a similar build. I think it's fair to say to LeBron as far as like his body and his physicality. So, yeah, I think definitely seeing what JJ Redick can do with those guys. I'm excited to see that because at this point, that's what we have. Like we just have to look at what's on our roster and how they can play better under new coaching tree. So, I like that question, mine and Braun. That is definitely a mine and Braun type question, so I respect it.
No, I agree with one thing you just said there. That was a big point for me. You have to know how to use the guys you do have at this point. When you go into the season and you're a new coach and you have your group there, you can't make excuses for like lack of free agency moves. Obviously, that sucks this summer, but you need to get the most out of guys who maybe you didn't last year. Like for me, Darvin didn't do a great job with, Christian Wood last year, number one. Even Rui's role was inconsistent at times. So, like, how do you get the most out of them? That'll be the question, like, to start the season. Mal's my guy down in the chat, Mind of Braun. Um, had him on talking sports with him yesterday on my other stuff. I'm trying to read the comments here. My hot take is we have a good team. Yeah, we have a decent roster. Like we do have a decent roster. And when we got Christian Wood, I go back to like the fact that we were actually pretty excited for that at the time last August. Like a lot of us thought that was a really underrated signing, but we just didn't see him thrive in any of the roles, at least that Darvin Ham gave him last season. So hopefully he can step up and be more of a rebounder, more of a force on the inside. And I know Christian Wood either like I think he posted on Instagram like he was coming for revenge this season or something. And like those posts are always so corny, but at the same time, like it's nice to know that he is kind of serious about things and locked in because I didn't feel like we saw that side of him last season. And if Wood can be that like true backup center for the whole year, we're gonna look a lot better. So yeah, I think Wood and Hayes can still make AD's job easier, even if they're not the ideal backup centers. So I'm excited for them. Max Christie, I know, was mentioned above. Obviously, we all think he's going to take a big leap. We'll have to see, but at least for right now, it seems like he will. Him and Connect just being kind of two-way guys off the bench and guys who can shoot and score the ball. That could be really big for us, kind of revamp our bench to some degree where we didn't have any bench scoring last season. But I would still like to see another ball handler come in, ideally like a trade with Gabe Vincent in it, because I don't know how much I could trust Gabe Vincent. And I would still like to see another center. And I wouldn't cut Christian Wood because I think him and AD work next to each other really well. At least from what I saw last season. So I would probably look to get off of Hayes and Reddish and Vincent. Still those three guys, maybe bring in another wing or another center. That would be big for us, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think both of y'all bring up some really good points. I'll start off talking about Rui and Christian Wood. I feel like Rui is such an interesting case because it's like he definitely dropped in form between last season and 2 seasons ago, like without a doubt. And some of it is due to like taking accountability on him as a player. Like, he did look worse, he did look in form. But it's also like keeping in mind certain contexts where it's just like the starting lineup, it took almost 40 games to like solidify some sort of starting lineup. And then even then we kind of had to play around with it more and more and more and more. And I remember like Rui at some points he would get like even like 18 minutes, which like a player like Rui, given what his role was on the Lakers the season before, you don't really expect like 18 minutes from Rui. You expect a little bit more. You expect what we saw towards the end of that last season, which is starting in that number 4 role, number 3 role. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how JJ Redick especially kind of implements Rui's role. I think I remember during one of his early press conferences, he was talking about grabbing boards and like having more people involved in rebounding schemes as well. And I feel like that's something that I've questioned with Rui as well, because like since his positioning, especially on the offense, is very much parched in the corner, it makes it very difficult tactically for him to go up and get rebounds. But I feel like with his physicality, he's like more than capable. So I think JJ Redick already scheming up different rebounding skills, rebounding tactics, excuse me, is already a really big step. It's just a matter if it's like implemented well or not. Jake kind of answered it for himself. I was gonna ask if y'all would prefer Christian Wood or Jackson Hayes as the number 2 center, or if you would just like split up that role evenly. Cause like I know that I've acted like a Christian Wood truther in the past, but I also know that like he's not as bona fide of a number 2 as like a lot of other backup centers. Like I still have him slightly leaning over Jackson Hayes, but I also know that both Jackson Hayes and Christian Wood have their different types of weaknesses on defense. I think Christian Wood has a little bit more variety in what he can do on the offense, but I think Jackson Hayes is like his like lobs are a little bit more like when he's on a good roll, he's extremely consistent. So it's like really difficult because both of them are so different. And I would still put Christian Wood at number 2, but it's like neither of them are like a super high option. But yeah, Mind of Braun is saying it might be a matchup thing. That makes a lot of sense. But I do think that Christian Wood had a little bit more promising flashes from last year.
Well, I definitely see it as a matchup thing too, Alex. It depends on like the type of centers that you're facing, both starters and on the bench on the other team. But for me, if you just had to pick one, it has to be Wood. People forget that even a few years ago, I want to say it was like 2020, 2021, around there, Wood was averaging like 18 and 6 pretty efficiently on. I mean, I know he did it on the Rockets. He had some good flashes on the Bucks as well. The Mavs was kind of up and down before the Lakers, but he's only a few years removed from that. He's still young. He still has a lot of talent. And I just think when he was in the games for us last season, especially next to AD, it did feel like we have a lot of size down low, despite Wood's like limitations on defense. I felt like we still have all the size. We still have rebounding help for AD with Wood. And then on offense, like the way he's able to space the floor definitely gives more flexibility for AD. So like when people in the past say Brook Lopez is a really good fit next to AD, I see Wood as a light version of that, of someone who can do a lot of the same things, especially with shooting and shot creating. It just doesn't have like the same impact on defense that someone like that would have.
Yeah, for me, when I look at Rui Hachimura, I think he is a player who can fit with this roster. As of right now, of course, he's come off an injury from the Olympics that he did suffer. However, I think that once healthy, he will be well and work well under JJ Redick's system. And just like sort of, you can say, kind of relation to Summer League. When it came to that 4 position, that was primarily Dalton Connect. And when Dalton Connect didn't play, they went with Armo Traore at that position. So in that primary position, like I said, I imagine they're trying to run JJ Redick's system, even though, of course, the coaching was not great. Under JJ Redick's system, I assume, the 4 was able to get a ton of shots, you could say, where it be Dalton Connect. When it was the 4 with Armo Traore, he was a hustle guy and like a guy who was very much in the pick and roll. And I think that's Rui's best fit with the Lakers, in that he's a off-ball guy who, of course, can create his own shot, which Dalton Connect was able to do under this Lakers or /JJ Redick system, you could kindly say. during the summer league. So I think that Rui Hachimura has a great ceiling for this year, and I think that, like I said, if once he does get healthy once again and does prepare his body and, like I said, does his role perfectly as a off the ball and of course six man, you could say, then I think that he could be a great player under JJ Redick's system. When it comes to Christian Wood, I do have a slight hesitation when looking back at, like say, the highlights or look at the centers, whether it be Colin Castleton or Amar Traore. There wasn't a ton of pick and pop, you could say, when it comes to that center position. Of course, Colin Castleton did do at least kindly hit a couple threes here and there, but that was primarily, like, say, a rare situation. I think Christian Wood can fit under JJ Redick's system. I think he's very much shown that he can defend well, especially when you look at that, at least the play-in game versus Kevin Durant and other situations, you could say, that I very much praise him upon when it comes to former games when he was healthy and was a part of that rotation for last year. And I think that Christian Wood can work well, but it's just that um, I will think highly under JJ Redick's system. He's looking for a guy similar to last year, just setting screens for their players, and I think that that's Jackson Hayes as an off-ball guy, a lob threat, and a guy who's going to set screens for the players to get them wide open shots, or you can say catch and shoot shots. You could say when it comes to the Lakers' offensive game plan, um, which you can kind of predict. Like I said, when it comes to the summer league and how those players ran a flawed but a working system when it came to the last 3 games of the summer league. So, yeah, I think that those are my thoughts and opinions about Christian Wood and Rui Hachimura. Max Christie very much can develop, and I think that he can do well, but he has to maximize his opportunity now. There's no time for him to say he's a second year or third year guy. He has to get in there and prove why he should be a part of JJ Redick's system. And if he doesn't, Cam Reddish, who's currently on this roster, and anybody else can take advantage of those minutes and prove why they're better than Max Christie. And that'd be a bad look and not a favorable situation for a Lakers organization who is almost going to pay him nearly $5 to $8 million per year. Was it like he signed a 4-year, $32 million contract? So depending on how they split it each year, like I said, $5 to $8 million. That's a big investment for a third-year guy who has not played too many minutes in the current NBA modern.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Well, all you guys really on those points. I'll say if I had to choose between like Christian Wood and Jackson Hayes, I think Christian Wood is just in a different tier. I don't know what it is about Jackson Hayes. I mean, we all knew it, like signing him, it was labeled as like a project. And I think currently right now what we're trying to construct, I don't know if there's that much time to indulge in such projects anymore. Like I can see him maybe being like, if we're continuing on the pathway of Anthony Davis being our starting center, then I say Wood is probably our backup. Then Hayes you plug and play when needed as far as matchups. But Christian Wood, you're right. I didn't even think about that. There was a couple of those matchups versus Phoenix where he matched up versus Kevin Durant, and he did a decent job when we struggled with size. Like he plugged and played just like we needed him to. He was hitting shots. I think the biggest thing for him is just staying healthy. And like I said, I think a lot of this has to do with the system. The system we had last year was not built for Christian Wood to thrive. Like it just wasn't. Darvin Ham wasn't running plays to let Christian Wood like hit a pick and pop three. Like he wasn't. That wasn't his motive at all as far as like our offensive game plan. So maybe this year with JJ Redick, a guy who kind of wants to preach the 3-point shot, maybe Christian Wood thrives in this type of system. I mean, we've seen him be successful. Like you guys said on the Mavericks, he played really good. We can see him maybe get back to that. Not saying he's going to score 18 points a game, but he's shown that he can do that in the right system. So I think JJ Redick can definitely change a lot of things for this team as far as just what we are now. Like we said, like it's the recurring thing. Like we have no changes. This is probably realistically, this is probably our roster for at least the first month or two of the season. I mean, that's just the way things are trending. So JJ Redick, I mean, he said he likes pressure. This is the most pressure situation. Like there's no changes. Same exact crew, running it back. What can you do different than Darvin Ham? And I think base level, if he can work in Christian Wood, that's going to be huge. And Rui Hachimura, I kind of feel the same way. I think Rui just has to stay focused. I mean, we talked about, I think Alex brought out, he's not the same player he was 2 seasons ago, maybe it was Jake. Um, that's true. Like when he first came over here, he was like, okay, he's overproducing. It's not what we expected. Last year, he had a major drop off in the playoffs. Kind of, I don't want to say non-existent, but compared to last year or the year before that, I should say, it was a huge drop off. So I think we have to get back to the basics, keep those guys involved throughout the whole game if you're going to play in those minutes, and really just use what we have. I know I seen the memes about Cam Reddish cutting his hair, trying to act like he's a different player. Hey man, if you got to cut your hair to play better, I'm all for it, man. Whatever antics you got to do to make sure you're locked in for the season, let's just see what happens. But I'll say one thing about Cam Reddish too. I know it's not really related, but it's so sad to see, man. I watched Cam Reddish all throughout high school, college. I'm a Duke fan. I know it's crazy to see his offense drop off so much because that's what he was. He was a great offensive talent. We're talking about the same guy. There was a crazy play at Duke where they were down by a bunch. They came back, and you see Cam Reddish. You see RJ Barrett throw a between the legs pass to RJ Barrett. I meant to Cam Reddish trailing him and pulling up for a deep three. Like that's the confidence Cam Reddish used to have. And now that's just not the case. So there's still another narrative in a world where maybe Cam Reddish can thrive in the JJ Redick system. I don't know, but a lot's right on JJ Redick is basically the point. But shout out to mine and Ron once again. I think I'm taking Christian Wood in that scenario and Max Christie. It's time to lock in, man. You're gonna get those minutes. I already know off rip, so you just gotta lock in and make the best of those opportunities.
Well, just to address that one question in the chat real fast about Jared Vanderbilt, like how important do you think Jared Vanderbilt's health is? Well, I shared my screen here to give an example of something that happened with the Lakers last season. We all know in December, we went on a stretch. Oh, that highlighted everything. About here to here, whatever. And we're basically damn near 3-9, 3-10, something like that. Our worst stretch of the season. And then all of a sudden, Vanderbilt was in and out of the rotation at that point. We were able to find consistency from here to here when Vanderbilt got back into the rotation. We had bigger wins against some of these teams like the Pelicans, the Celtics. When he got injured that game, he was still very impactful that game. I think that was the February 1st game right here he got injured, but we were able to find consistency in the 10 games before that because of him. And when it came down to the final season, final stretch, we were playing better in the regular season for sure. But going into the playoffs and like knowing you're going to play a Jamal Murray type of player, like you needed Jared Vanderbilt. You can't really trust Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell to go out there and guard a Jamal Murray type player. So if you have a lack of perimeter defense on this team, I mean, you're going to at least need one guy who's actually really good at playing on the perimeter and playing point of attack defense. Every team, has one at least of those type of guys if you're a good team. The Lakers still need more, in my opinion. They need another one. But Vanderbilt's going to be really important because if you look at the one playoff series we had, obviously it was a mess in terms of guarding KCP, Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, obviously at times. I don't even know if some of those game winners would have happened if you could have had Jared Vanderbilt out there on him on those possessions. We won't know for sure, but I think it is interesting because when you look at the 2023 playoffs against the Warriors and Grizzlies, that Jared Vanderbilt had a case for being like the most valuable role player at times, right? Like we know what Rui gave us on offense, but Jared Vanderbilt was giving us just as much on defense in those series. So we need him back. And in my opinion, I forgot if I may have even told you this yesterday, Mal, but I was saying that I think we should start Jared Vanderbilt again, because if he's healthy, that lineup with him, D'Lo, and Austin, to me, is better than Rui, D'Lo, and Austin, just because you need to hedge some of that offense with defense going forward.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really good points, and I'm so glad that this record was like screen shared right now because I was gonna talk about Vandal's importance in the role. Like Jake said, we saw a direct change in form as a collective, as a team, when Vandal was there versus when Vandal's not. Obviously, it's not like a case where we're winning every single game just because of Vandal, but like his presence on defense and especially on offensive boards as well. I think I saw one of the game, not here, but like in one of the games, like in this tracker, you could see that like Vando led with 9 rebounds. Somewhere over there, I don't know, but it was his offensive boards that really helped progress our game as well. I think that Vando's presence, even though he doesn't have the most profound offensive bag, he still brings a lot of presence defensively in terms of grabbing boards, and he's shown signs of like developing his offense as he gets more and more plays. So it's really just a shame how injured he got, how much injury he had throughout that time. I also think I wanted to bring up Vando because Alan brought a really good point that Rui did get injured during the Olympics, and it's an injury to the gastrocnemius muscle, which I believe is the back of the calf. And I feel like from what I've read, it has like a very wide range of like recovery time. Like if it's a very mild injury to the calf, it can take just a couple of weeks and he'll be fine. But if it's like a severe injury, it could take months. And I do think there's a chance that Rui will be back by October, but like we really don't know depending on the severity. All we know is that Rui had to leave the Olympic team and that Japan was eliminated. So we really do have to think about like how he fit Vandal in terms of the team and him getting significant minutes, and also Rui getting significant minutes. But even with that, if Rui is injured, I think Vando is gonna have to step up big, big, big time. A lot of people like kind of like what Jake was saying, like they have Vando over Rui or Vando over someone else in the starting lineup altogether. But if Rui does have as serious of an injury as like to the point where he can't play the beginning of the season, then like that's when Vando and like maybe even Max Christie or like someone else, maybe even Dalton Connect, who I think is going to be at the very least our 7th man, at the very least, coming off the bench. They're going to have to step up big time. And I really do think that for those reasons that Vando is going to be especially key to our team. And I think also because of what Mind of Brown was saying earlier about just like our like role pieces really need to act like genuine role pieces, like actually step up and have a position this season around instead of letting a couple of players like kind of carry the momentum. So I do think that Vando has and always has been one of our more important players. I really hope we can get a really healthy season for him this time around because it is a shame just how much spark he was showing last season on all fronts, and then like how much injury he was riddled with. So yeah, that's kind of me answering that question.
And can I just bring up something that I just saw on Twitter? This is still on topic, obviously, to everything, but not about Vando. Jeanie Buss was asked about the lack of activity from the Lakers this summer. And I see that she said, I'm excited about our new coach, JJ Redick. He's going to be how great. I can tell you how great he's going to be basketball wise. I really want the opportunity just for the team to play basketball, and that will tell the story. We're excited about our draft picks, Dalton Connect, who we didn't think would be there at 17, and Bronny James, who played at USC. So we're excited about our young guys. That's it. So, I mean, it kind of, you guys can decipher your own thing from that. But for me, it's like, I still don't think there's a lot of basketball minds in the Lakers organization, unfortunately, which is really sad because we have either the best or second best team of all time. And we've had great basketball minds come through the organization. Oh, appreciate that, Alex. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. Yeah, but to see that we never hire someone who can come in and shape the basketball direction of this team and understand from a GM perspective, from a president of basketball operations perspective. I mean, we got Rob Pelinka as the only guy in there, and he's an agent first. So he understands how to do some of these interviews. He understands how to manage relationships, but he's not definitely not a genius by any means in terms of building a team. And like, then you have no one else around him advising him or helping him. And it's like pretty frustrating when you see quotes like this, because I mean, no one really says this, but even our owner doesn't know that much about basketball. Like, I'm not trying to be an asshole, and I hope they hire me one day over there. Hope maybe she'll be gone. But I mean, does she really know a ton about the current state of the NBA? Probably not. And that hurts, because it hurts who you hire, and who you hire leads to the players that you're getting. So even if Jeanie's not the one going out there like, hey, we should sign Tyus Jones or whatever, that's fine. But like, the people that you guys hire have to be able to make decisions around the margins like that. And I think it's been evident for basically her whole tenure, if we're honest, that she doesn't actually know anything about basketball. I think she knows a lot about Kobe's legacy and Magic's legacy and Phil Jackson's legacy. Like, she is decent with that stuff. But when we're fans of the team right now and we want to win next year, and like, we want Braun to win, we want AD to win, what does she know about other than the legacy of certain LA individuals? Where, yeah, I see your comment, Mal. But it's true. Like, she could go sit down and do an interview about Snoop Dogg's legacy in LA or Ice Cube's legacy better than she could build the team that she owns and governs or whatever. That's like very disappointing to me. And a lot of owners are not like that. Like, I really respect how Mark Cuban had always made changes to get his team better around the margins. Like, he wasn't satisfied unless they win or make the finals. And I think Jerry Buss was like the ideal owner. Obviously, you had that, but it just gets passed down to his daughter, who isn't vetted in any sort of basketball sense. I mean, maybe business, but not basketball. So like, what are we doing here? I mean, honestly, you can't bring in anyone who knows about basketball and can help you in free agency. Like, you can't bring one person to be an assistant GM or something. It's sad. So hopefully, like, we turn that around the next few years and hire some more people. That's what I care about the most.
I'll say, like, to slightly defend Jeanie on this one. I do kind of agree with you that she's not a relatively basketball-minded owner, you could say. However, but I feel like that's a ton of owners. Of course, you mentioned Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban is definitely, I think, one of the best owners in today's NBA. But at the same time, I look at like these Steve Ballmer, or I look at the recent owner, that is the Phoenix Suns, who just bought them. I don't think they're the very much basketball-minded owners. However, like I said, as you said, they are very much owners in which, how can we fix them? And they find the right guys, and they trust the right, you can say, find the right people, you can say. And Jeanie Buss, although I imagine in her heart of hearts, she wants to help and wants the team to be better. I think one issue is she's not finding the right people, you could say. And like I said, she let on Magic Johnson, she let on Rob Pelinka when they first looked for new management, you could say. And that's where it went to a disaster in a bit. Of course, they did get LeBron, AD, etc. But relatively, besides those moves, it hasn't been great under those managements that she chosen herself. So it's just that I think that she wants this team to be better, but she's just not wise enough, because you can kindly say, to find the right people to help fix this team / roster / organization. And yeah, I think that's just my opinion.
Well, I just want to add to that, if that's okay, guys, like, while we're on this topic. I think Alan made some really great points of like, yeah, not every owner is what I was describing. But you, like, for your example with Steve Ballmer, we don't know what Steve Ballmer knows about basketball by any means, like you said. But we do know Steve Ballmer's track record at Microsoft, and we do know Mark Cuban's track record at the 4 or 5 or more companies he started. What I mean by that is, like, when you're the CEO or whatever you are, even a CFO, or you're any leadership position, you know how to bring in other people lower down who can make your job easier and do a great job as part of a team. And that's what Steve Ballmer is so good at, because the Clippers' issue has been health year over year over year over year. But consistently in free agency and trades, in my opinion, they come out looking very strong. I mean, sure, they gave up the farm for Paul George to get Kawhi in there. I do understand that. That trade is a mistake with Shea. But like around the margins year after year, they're putting together a roster that we forget every offseason. People are like, the Clippers may have the best roster in the NBA, especially before the Celtics got to like this level. The Clippers may have the best roster. The Clippers are the favorites in the West or whatever. And it's year after year. And it's frustrating because what Ballmer did so well is go and hire 5 people to really help that team, with one of them being Jerry West for a while. And Jeanie doesn't do that. And that's why when I was in high school and it was 2019, and I went to protest the Lakers at Staples Center with my friends, like that's what a lot of the anger around that time was about. We didn't know anything. We were just messing around. But like from more of like the adults or fans of the team, it was like, why are Linda and Kurt Rambis 2 of the highest people in the organization making the decisions? And no one understood that. And then because we were able to get AD and get Braun, people kind of moved on from that, when maybe they shouldn't have, in terms of the organization. Like, this organization has been as much in question year after year, even with winning in 2020, because, and players have said this too, what did they do right after 2020? They broke up that roster in half and had half new people on that team, which is a huge mistake that no one else would do that. The Nuggets would not want to do that if they won the championship. The Celtics had one of the best off seasons, and no one talks about it because they didn't go get anyone splashy, but they brought back everyone on team-friendly deals that they needed to. And that's what the Lakers should have done in 2020. So from an organizational standpoint, we don't have the right people in place. And that was my point. And we all know here that that's not going to change. Like, it's very unlikely that Jeanie turns around and hires a really smart president of basketball operations within the next few years. So that tells me that you're okay just kind of running it back every year with Kurt Rambis, Linda Rambis telling you what to do, and then just Rob Pelinka. But if you're building a basketball organization, last thing, why would you go and the first 2 calls you make are Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka? That doesn't make any sense to me from the perspective of like, why didn't you try to get people who were already involved in organizations or the business of basketball? Obviously, we love Magic the player, but he was a nightmare. He could have helped get LeBron to the Lakers even if he wasn't in the organization, because Bron definitely didn't care that Magic had this title. He just cared that he was Magic and he was a Laker. So Magic and Kobe could have helped get Bron. And then the AD trade, why would we credit them for that? At the time, a lot of people thought we got fleeced. We really did get fleeced if all those guys ended up being elite, which they didn't. But like, that was not a hard move to make. We gave up everything for AD. And then everything else along the margins has been horrible. So what did we really do here? We didn't really do that much besides tell Magic Johnson, go tell LeBron how great it is being a Laker. And that's like the center issue of this all, is they never even considered bringing in someone that the Timberwolves or the Thunder like bring in, like a Sam Presti type of guy, the guy who is the president of basketball operations for the Nuggets and the Timberwolves right now. I forgot his name. They're like building teams every year that are contenders, and we didn't think that far ahead. We just thought, what are the relationships of people who are like involved in the Lakers, and let's bring them back to the Lakers and see what happens. And that's not really how you build like a business in any sense, like even in the business world, aside from basketball.
I think both points were like really interesting actually. Like, I do agree with Alan that a lot of owners aren't really the type to like know about basketball. I think it just has to do with like how much the owner kind of like tries to involve themselves in like really getting to know the team as a whole as well, because like some, obviously not all owners are gonna know about basketball and whatnot, but I guess like Mark Cuban, um he knows a little more, and like he tries to accustom himself to like the team and like try to like get to know the team and like support the team to a certain extent. um and I feel like a lot of people have questions as to, like, whether Jeanie Buss is like putting out that same hand or not. Like obviously she doesn't have to be like always reaching out and being at the same place as the players all the time. But I guess it's just about making that simple connection whether Jeanie Buss is doing that or not. Because it's like one of the things I kind of agree with Jake on the other hand is that it does kind of seem like that Jeanie Buss is riding on certain legacies, and the fact that the Lakers have a very big like history and legacy, and like they're not doing as much to really progress the team in its current state. And I feel like even the way that the team is marketed these days around, I've talked about it before, is just kind of emphasizing we're a big team, we're a big team, we're a big franchise, we're a big franchise, and not much more than that. So I think both sides have like really interesting points, and it's like not like exact polar opposite sides either. I think like there's both things that like can be agreed on everything, and like also a few disagreements here and there. I just think it's a matter of, do we really trust Jeanie Buss to be the type to really put in the effort to get to know where the team is at right now, who is the team, and like where the team should be in the future, instead of focusing on marketing how big of a past we had. I think that's kind of one of my biggest issues, and I think that's something that can be resolved and that can be fixed, but I do think it's a conversation worth having like this.
Oh, at least for Orioles, like I'll mention this. Like, of course, this is not us trying to be disrespectful to Jeanie Buss. I like so same thing with Darvin Ham in a way that I imagine Jeannie's a nice person, relatively great to talk to, and definitely has a great knowledge of the Lakers' history and etc. However, when it comes to her as a owner, she isn't the best decision maker on this team currently. And one thing I can't think about, like what kind of relates to like past documentaries. Maybe you can go back even to that past Lakers documentary that went from the '70s to, of course, that them winning that 2020 championship. And she mentioned a lot of a lot of like, what would Dr. Buss do? What would my dad do? And I feel like that's not a good mindset if you always have to go to what would your dad do. And of course, like I said, she wants to respect and live up to his legacy, but at the same time, she has to make her own legacy. And I just think that that's an issue that she has herself. And like I said, her decision making isn't good. She she's trusting, I'm not saying the right people, but she's trusting people that she knows. And sometimes that can be good, sometimes that could be bad. And relatively so far, that hasn't been the greatest that she's trusted, you could say. So it's just that, like I said, she's a great person, great individual, probably, but when it comes to her decision making overall, is hasn't been great under this Lakers organization. And yeah, Earl, you can go out.
Yeah, I'll start by saying like I agree with pretty much everybody's perspectives. I'll say this. I think the problem with the Lakers organization right now is that everything is built on legacy and in-house. I think the best way to grow at times is to go travel, not even just travel the world. You can go visit somewhere you've never been before and get a new perspective on life. Like that's just in general. And I think the Lakers, that organization just needs some more outside help. You talk about all the people in the organization, Lakers greats, like that's cool. We appreciate the legacy, the stepping stones you guys built to make the Lakers like the Lakers 17 championships. But at the same time, in order to evolve, like you have to change some of the voices that are in house. And I think that's one thing that Jeannie's struggling with. You have to go to like some outside sources, like why not go pick up a GM who hasn't been affiliated with the Lakers, who have other connections that we may not have access to? Um, I'll just use example of GMs. No offense to Rob Pelinka, but like let's just say use the example of Bob Myers again. Like Bob Myers, he's one of those people. I'm at those people. Like he basically knows a lot of people. He has a lot of connections. People are cool with him across the league. Why not bring him in for a different perspective as well? Like I think it's just about Jeanie, and another thing too about Jeanie as well. Jeanie Buss, I think her problem is, I agree. I think she's okay with us being good enough just to sell tickets and that's kind of concerning. And another thing about Jeanie too, like Alan said, like this is not us bashing her or anything like that. I think it's fair to say, just like I do the Darvin Ham speech, I'm sure she's a great mother, sister, everything like that. But as far as like an owner in the last couple of years, it has not been ideal. That's just me being honest. But I think Jeanie, what she has to realize is it's okay for you to make mistakes and be wrong, but you have to realize that you're making mistakes and move past those and grow from it. And I think right now she's in that stage where she's like, okay, yeah, we've had a couple bad coaches, whatever, but at least we've won a championship in the last couple of years. Okay. Russell Westbrook trade didn't work out, but we traded these guys, got good enough to make the playoffs, at least like a first round. I'm okay with that. And I think we've kind of lost track of the plot. Like the point of the Lakers for us is to compete for championships, put ourselves in the best position to win. And I feel like Jeanie Buss in recent years just hasn't done that. And I agree with Jake Till's points. Like maybe, like I don't know Jeanie Buss, like I don't know her whole history, but maybe she just has to re-educate herself in like just the now of basketball. Like, what is basketball now? Like, what is the ecosystem right now for basketball? And kind of adjust to that as far as like gaining players, building your organization from top to bottom. I mean, we can even talk about like our coaching staff. I'm glad we took our time with our coaching staff this year because I complained about that a lot. Like at first, like, oh, it took forever for us to get a coaching staff. But now thinking about it, like maybe it was a good thing we took time to kind of interview these guys and see what was going on. Because remember, like 2-3 years ago, we had a crazy injury problem. Like I don't know if we could have blamed that on our training staff or whatever, but every single week we had new injury. LeBron and AD barely played basketball because they were always injured. Like I understand on court problems happen, but at the same time, when it was that frequent and almost the whole roster, it's kind of concerning. So I think I agree. Everything is about the details, and Jeanie Buss, she's not worried too much about the details, and that's a little bit concerning for me. So hopefully in the future, I don't know. I kind of agree. I don't see anything big happening under Jeanie Buss right now, and maybe that's just because of the track record. But I like to always try to remain optimistic, and maybe she has somebody who will tell her like, "Hey, Jeanie, like we have to make some changes." If she's like open to like hearing outside sources, maybe she just needs a new perspective in that locker room, or not locker room, just the front office in general.
Well, I'm happy we're talking about the Lakers from like a broad, big perspective this week since we don't have, small free agency news or anything, because it kind of gives me a chance to like rant off this and all you guys too get some feelings out like Lakers therapy. But when I pull up this head coaching list right here, I mean, first of all, number one, this is fucking embarrassing. Like, the names on this list are so embarrassing. Excuse my language. Even JJ Redick, who I feel optimistic about, is embarrassing on this list right now. I mean, he could prove us wrong, but just like, you know what I mean, from a name perspective as a coach, it's a very embarrassing. So let's take a look at some of the worst coaches the Lakers have had since, I think that's Phil Jackson right there. Since Phil Jackson. Well, Byron Scott was a Laker. So he's known for being a Laker with Magic, with Kareem in the 80s and stuff. Got hired because he was a Laker. And then Luke Walton was a Laker with Kobe Bryant. And he got hired because of that. And then going down to Darvin Ham, as we know, after Vogel won a championship, who was Darvin Ham in 2014 or whatever? He was the assistant coach of the Lakers with Kobe Bryant. So your criteria is that if someone is around the Lakers at some point, then maybe they should be the head coach. And that leads to an embarrassment of names and records here. And then this year, I'm happy they took their time. And there weren't a lot of good options. But you got JJ Redick. Like, it's not like you couldn't go and get Dan Hurley. And I don't think it's because he wouldn't leave college by any means. I think it was because of how messy our organization is right now and the negative headlines that come with it and the scrutiny he would have had from being the Lakers coach. That's why you couldn't get Dan Hurley, because how would you have had Mike Brown, Bickerstaff, D'Antoni, Scott Walton, Vogel, Ham, and then go to Dan Hurley. You're not in that tier of coaches. You didn't do that. So, for example, the Celtics, who have a very similar legacy to us, they figured out how to build, obviously, an amazing basketball team in the modern day. But it starts from the top down with the Celtics, and bringing in Brad Stevens to coach changed the culture. Putting him as the GM changed the culture even more. They had Ime Udoka as a coach who failed because of his off-the-court scandal, and he was still better than any Lakers coach on this list in terms of coaching. And then they had, and then obviously they have Joe Mazzulla, who I think is one of the better coaches in minds in basketball. So they're like hitting every time on their coaches. They have a great GM. They have great people around them in the organization, and they built it from the top down, and we didn't, and we skipped steps, and it's embarrassing, and it leads to some of this stuff. Like, if anything, if you are going to focus on Lakers legacy, you can't mention the Lakers without mentioning the rivalry against the Celtics, and you've let that go because we haven't been in the same tier as the Celtics for a while. Even in their rebuild, they were levels ahead of us with drafting Brown and Tatum instead of Lonzo Ball and Ingram. So they were ahead of us even at their lowest point. And then what did the Celtics do when they weren't making the finals? And they have, mind you, the Celtics have the same salary cap as us. They have the same salary as every NBA team has the same limitation. So you can't use that as an excuse. What do they do when they're not making the finals? They bring in Derek White, number one. He gives them a huge bump. Then they bring in Drew Holiday this offseason and Porzingis, and that gives them the bump to get to the top. How are they able to do that in the same NBA that we're in, but we can't do anything? It's because of the organization and the decisions you're making and who you're hiring. And I think it's really sad to look at this list of coaches for a team that I still consider the Lakers to be the best team of all time. We cleared the Celtics in most metrics since, like, I want to say the 80s or whatever it is. They haven't had any championships besides this year since, like, a long, long time ago. So if we're, like, the best team ever, how is this our list of coaches recently? I mean, this has been 12 years in the making since pretty much a failed Mike Brown right here after Phil Jackson. I mean, this is 12 years in the making. I mean, Mike Brown is one of the better coaches in the NBA right now, too. And for us, he only coached 71 games. So there's, like, very much a clear disconnect here of how to build a basketball team, how to hire a coach for sure, and then also, like, who to bring in as a GM. Because even before Rob Pelinka, people don't talk about this that much anymore, but Mitch Kupchak was one of the worst GMs in the NBA. And I think he went to the Hornets, and then he got fired from over there for ruining that team too. So, like, who the hell are we bringing into this organization, and where did our standard for winning go over time? That's what I'm trying to figure out, because when we do win, it definitely is not because of coaching or the organization. Like, let's be honest. It's LeBron James being as good as he's been since 2018 and AD being as good as he's been since he got on the court. That's why we win. But we don't win because of anything else, and we don't win around the margins. And they don't know what they have. And they didn't know what they have from a player perspective with KCP and Caruso, guys like that who were really helping out. They didn't understand what they had or know what to do with that. And these guys are still impactful in the NBA today. So I'm very disappointed overall when you look at basically since Kobe retired, and even, for a few years before that where we were a mess. I mean, this is just sad at this point. Like, please, I beg JJ Redick to work out so that we don't have to revisit this anymore and add more names to this here. I mean, I still think JJ has a good chance because of how good of a basketball mind he is. But it's going to take a few years for him to adapt to being a head coach. And I think at this point, you just got to stick with him for a while, because stop adding names to this list that don't make any sense. If you go and fire JJ after this season, who are you going to get? Because you're not going to get the Dan Hurleys of the world. You're going to end up with a James Borrego of the world. So just stay with JJ Redick at this point.
I think that's such an interesting point that you bring up, because it's like the reason the coaching market was extremely difficult during our early summer, and like it really puts into perspective one of the reasons that not as many people really talked about is because like looking at our recent recent track record is not the best. Like I like found the same Wikipedia page that Jake is currently on, and obviously not every single coach from Phil Jackson and before is like amazing, but like you scroll up and you see 5 championships with Phil Jackson, 4 with Pat Riley, coaches of the year, multiple in between, the championship with Bill Sharman, and like championship all the way, like 5 championships with John Kunla, all the way with the Minneapolis Lakers, and you see all that. And then you scroll down to like after Phil Jackson, if it weren't for that one championship with Frank Vogel, we would basically be in like an over decade long drought. And even with what we built during the championship in 2020, that got quickly decimated in Frank Vogel's final season, unfortunately, partially due to not just the coaching, but also partially due to like how the front office and like just general roster management as well. So it really is an interesting perspective of just how unattractive that we look to any sort of staff member, to be honest. And I do agree that like I think JJ Redick, unless he pulls like a Monty Williams 2 for 28 with the Detroit Pistons type of coaching, that like he shouldn't really be sacked super easily. Like unless he does something super drastic, I think that like we kind of have to have faith in JJ Redick for a little bit, because like look how unattractive our coaching record is right now. You see that like 22% win percentage with Byron Scott. That's disgusting. That's disgusting, and that's so terrible. And then like a 39% with Luke Walton. That's also really bad. So yeah, things are just a lot more interesting when you're looking at the coaching record just like this, just like how much of a fall off there has been. Like had it not been for that one championship, it'd be like a drought of just achieving absolutely nothing when we're supposed to be like the most accomplished franchise out there. So that really just goes back to our conversation with the front office and with Jeanie Buss and the ownership, where it's just like they kind of have a responsibility of not just reminiscing on what the team was in the past, but like being the owner who creates what the team is meant to be in the future. And if this is what our team is meant to be in the present and the future, then it's not looking too good at all.
I'll say that was a bar too at the end. Not gonna lie to you, that was clean. When you look at this graphic, it really makes us look mid. For the past couple of years, this is as mid as it gets. One championship since 2011, 2012, bro. Like this is and yeah, it kind of just puts a more, it really opens your eyes when you have everything in front of you on a graphic. Like I didn't realize it was this bad until you kind of look right here. Like Darvin Ham, least of our worries on this list. I mean, Brian Scott, 22. All you can give me is 22%. 22% wins is absolutely insane. Like Mike D'Antoni, 43. I mean, that's pretty much considered almost a high on this list, which is hilarious. 39% on the Luke Walton. Like, bro, I don't know. It's like the Lakers like revamped the requirements for the resume. No experience required. I mean, it almost looks like all you have to do is be connected to the Lakers at some point in your lifetime, and you pretty much get a free pass above everybody else. Yeah, it's not looking good, man. I'm glad we did kind of have this conversation today, because it just shows you like the standards were trending down. Jake makes a good point too. Alex makes a good point. Like without Bron, without Bron, like just trying, like he's putting almost up like 27 points a game these last couple seasons. Like without that, where would we be right now? We definitely wouldn't have a championship in 2020 if we didn't have LeBron James join our team and Anthony Davis. I'll add that in there too. So a lot of what's been happening as far as success, it's been on the team. It's been the players in general creating that success. And what happens is when you actually play good teams with good players plus a great coaching staff, you lose those games. Not because you don't have the players, because that other team is way more organized than you, top to bottom. And I think that's the biggest like stud we kind of been stuck on the last couple of seasons. So I would like to be optimistic and say maybe JJ Redick, we start over at our 0 point. I'll call it. Maybe JJ Redick is the new trend for the next 10, 15 years of coaching, and we start going back towards our championship path. But I think the biggest thing, we lost the plot of coaching. Like, we need coaches who understand the game of basketball and who can like rally together players. So I think it's been a lot of and or. They hired Darvin Ham because he was a player coach. Well, what happens when a player coach loses the locker room and he can't really coach? I mean, you get 54% win percentage and a lot of crazy games that could have been won by small marginal adjustments. So, yeah, looking at this definitely sucks. I'm just really hopeful. I have to be at this point that JJ Redick can be the start of something new. Because at this point, when you have all those list of names in front of you, I mean, you guys are right. We missed out on Dan Harley. That was the whole thing. We couldn't pull him. So you have to reset with a JJ Redick and hopefully just pray that this is our version of like a Steve Kerr, as far as like you get lucky and he turns out to be a really great coach for the future of the NBA. So I'm really just praying that JJ Redick is that answer. Like, on paper, like, he seems like the logical choice. I think the last couple of years, as far as like basketball IQ and just the knowingness of the game, I think JJ Redick kind of passes a lot of people on this list just off of that alone. But as far as like coaching experience, he has none. Let's be honest. Like, his resume experience, 0. He has no experience as a coach. So I don't know. I think it's going to be definitely really interesting to see what he can kind of come up with to kind of reshape him, because he's really the start of the new age. I'm gonna put that pressure on JJ Redick. We put pressure on Bron to perform every year, even though he's 40. I'm gonna put pressure on JJ Redick to kind of start the trend of the Lakers returning back to dominance. And honestly, that pressure really is on Jeanie Buss for making this hire. So I don't know, man. It's just putting a lot of things into perspective I didn't really think about before. But this list of names, I mean, mind blowing.
Yeah, I mean, another topic that I don't know if we're gonna get to, but I was really hurt about. I'm trying to load it up right here. Let's see.
I have a feeling I know what you're gonna say.
Adrian Wojnarowski, we got to get over there. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but like, are you kidding me with this? Like, are you serious with this? I mean, this dude, I mean, it doesn't even say it in this tweet. Number one, he's more than a capable NBA player. Like, he should have been on a roster already. He signed for an Exhibit 10 prove-it deal with the Celtics where he may not even play on the – like, he may get waived after preseason. You know who signed the same deal? LiAngelo Ball. He signed the same deal as LiAngelo Ball. Like, what are we doing here? You couldn't have got this guy? I mean, like – dude, the Celtics of all teams, the team that has everything, like they didn't even need this. Go out there and get this guy on an Exhibit 10 when I've been saying all summer, like, let's just bring this guy back in. He was huge for us. On our team, this type of guy actually means something. And on the Celtics, it doesn't, and he might get cut. He probably won't be in the rotation regardless. He could be end of bench. So when I saw this yesterday, I was like, I don't understand like how all this works, because if we put in minimal effort, we could have brought this guy in. We could have, even if we had to waive Jackson Hayes or Cam Reddish, this guy is so much better than both of the other two guys I just said. Like, I'm just not understanding like why we can't get someone even like this, even if it was the same contract and it was like a prove it situation, which I think he's better than. how are we not able to at least do this offseason? And that really messed me up. I mean, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it, but like to see it being the Celtics too of all teams with the fact that they don't even need this guy obviously hurt a little bit.
I guess I can go. Obviously that seeing that on my Twitter hurt my heart a little bit. I can't even lie. Hearing Lonnie Walker and LiAngelo Ball conversations also hurt a little bit, but I understand why. It's just to show that like Lonnie Walker is a lot more capable than what he's being given. It just shows like with all due respect, like the Celtics does not need a Lonnie Walker. I feel like the Celtics are not going to utilize him that well, if at all. Just because like the Celtics, they already do have a championship roster and they've kept a lot of their pieces. So it's like, where's Lonnie Walker going to fit? In like in this Exhibit 10, like Isaiah Thomas 2024-esque contract, basically. Like we don't really see a vision for Lonnie Walker in the Celtics, but like you could absolutely see a vision for Lonnie Walker in so many other teams. I feel like even like I think he was with the Nets last year. Like he looked like not bad at all too. Like he had some good sparks as well. So it really does hurt my heart a little bit that this is the news. I will always root for Lonnie Walker a little bit. Obviously, I'm not gonna. It's gonna hurt a little bit because he is in the Celtics. I will never root for the Celtics, but a part of me always just wishes that Lonnie Walker was just dealt with a better hand. I think he was just a lot of mismanagement from like a lot of teams that he's had to be included in, including his stint with the Lakers as well. Unfortunately, I feel like he really did have a position. I really also do think he was played out of position when coming back from injury too, from what I remember. And it was just at the end of the 2 seasons ago that he was trying to find form again. So it really does hurt my heart that this is the trajectory. If Lonnie Walker is gonna go to this, I hope he somehow gets significant minutes. But like I highly doubt it, considering this is like a Exhibit 10 type of deal on a championship roster. So yeah, I do not love this at all. It really does also frustrate me even more, just like how he was handled with the Lakers as well as with the other teams that he's been on as well.
Sick to my stomach. When I seen that tweet, I had to refresh a couple times. Surely he goes for more than an expedition deal. Like surely he's not on some type of like just minimum. Like lower than a vet minimum for Lonnie Walker is so disrespectful. I just don't get how we let this happen, man. Like, and out of all the teams, the Celtics, man, it's like the Celtics are just laughing at us, man. No matter what we do, they're just out there laughing. They won a championship last year, cool. Off season, get Lonnie Walker for free, no risk involved from their side at all. And the fact we haven't made a single move, not a single move, nothing has changed on this roster except for the rookies we brought in. And like you guys mentioned before, it was a home run for us. We had the easiest draft selection of all time. Bronny James, given. It's if you have pick 55 and LeBron James' son is right there for the taking, you take him. And that's no disrespect to Bronny because I still think he's going to pan out to be a great player. But there's no pressure in that situation. Dalton Connect, he fell into our laps. They were literally saying, they were up in there on the chairs like, whoa, we didn't know this pick would just come to us. Like, we were shocked. We were surprised. He wasn't even on our board. My question is, who was on that board? That's another question. That who would have been our pick if Dalton Connect wasn't there? That's a story for another day. But Lonnie Walker here, I'll just keep it short and sweet. Broke my heart. Sucks. I do wish him all the best in the world because he definitely deserves it. What he was able to do for us on that Warriors series, man, it was some legendary stuff. Like when we needed something new off the bench to help us win, and he provided after not playing really at all. So I will always appreciate him for that. Now I won't be buying no Celtics jersey, that's for sure. But I will appreciate what he did for us. So shout out to Lonnie Walker. Still don't like the Celtics.
Yeah, it's tough to see Lonnie Walker go to Boston. They gave him basically, you could say, like a tryout deal. Like I imagine the Celtics won't play too much of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown during the preseason. So it gives Lonnie Walker, as Shams reported, an opportunity to play for them. And if he does get cut, he'll ultimately go to their G League affiliate. And from there on, if he does play good, he can either go up to their Boston Celtics roster or he can get signed by another team. And it's good for him getting an opportunity still, but at the same time, he does deserve more. I think he's a valuable player on a mid to maybe slightly contending team, but it's just like it's just the landscape of the NBA. And Lonnie Walker is a player that maybe some GMs or even head coaches don't view that greatly of.
Yeah, man. Oh,
I
sorry,
agree.
man.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I agree, man. It sucks that Lonnie Walker has to work this hard for a spot. Definitely underrated, but if he gets his chance, he'll definitely bring value.
Yeah, man. I was just gonna say, moving on to another report that came out, just to hear your guys' thoughts. I mean, it's not really Lakers, but some people mention this guy might be a Laker. Right here, we got Wardell Curry signing an extension, 1 year, 62. Got to be the highest in the NBA for that season right now, you would think. When that kicks in 26, 27. Doesn't mean like he can't be traded or anything like that, but it is a little weird, I guess, in theory, with kind of reminds me like with the Braun situation of Braun could have gone to a better place to win a championship or two before he retires, and he didn't. And I definitely appreciate that loyalty for Steph, even more loyalty. He'll probably be a Warrior his whole career, which is rare nowadays for a star. But it is a little bit sad just because I do think he'll likely be wasting away his final years without contending. I mean, I don't like Golden State by any means, but I do like Steph. He's kind of wasting away his years, and I'm a little concerned that LeBron is also wasting away his years with the Lakers because of even that Jeanie quote we showed earlier. Like, they feel comfortable with where they are, but they're not really trying to get better to be a contender. So it's kind of sad to see how these two are being done. Also, you could argue Kevin Durant. Obviously, he got traded over there to Phoenix, but after a couple moves, they basically had no flexibility over there either. And I'd be shocked if Phoenix won. So it seems like we could be at the end definitely of the era where LeBron and Steph and KD are competing for championships, and that part's sad to see. But what are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, it's put those dreams to bed, buddy. I mean, we can't afford a 62 point. I mean, who knows what happens in 2026, but is the contract even worth it by then? I know it's Steph Curry, but just things to think about in the future. But yeah, I think the Warriors heard a lot of rumblings about what could and should happen across the NBA world, and they put it to rest. Basically saying if you're going to trade for Curry, you have to send that contract value back. So it makes sense, man. Well deserved for Curry. You're right. It reminds me kind of the Braun thing, deciding to stay with the Warriors and kind of just ride out the rest of his career there. I think it's a good deal for Steph. I mean, personally, I'm not turning out 62 million, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I was gonna say 62.6 million is hefty. I really don't think that we're not pulling that off. We didn't pull off like anybody at all, quite frankly. So we're definitely not pulling off 62.6 million for Steph. Absolutely not. That was not gonna happen. Um Rich Paul, thank you for your service of trying to stop the deal from happening, but like this price tag shows that it wasn't gonna happen anyways. Um but yeah, it's just a lot to think about, like thinking about like especially a lot of these older stars, knowing that we have one of the most prominent older stars in LeBron in our team right now. Just thinking about like what they're doing with their team, like what championship aspirations are there. What championship aspirations are there, not there. I'm pretty sure like they both do still have like high aspirations for sure. It's just like interesting to like question not their aspirations at all, but just like will their position on their team bring them to that, or will they or are they choosing loyalty to a certain team over like a title contention or anything like that, do they think they can achieve both? It's just putting into a lot of questions into like what these older stars are really doing now that they're nearing the end of their careers kind of, and that really sucks to say because like that was this like LeBron and like Steph, they really are pivotal figures um during like our era for sure. But like it really does come to show like um their championship aspirations at an older age at the ending stages of their career, but is the team that they're on currently going to help with that or not?
I very much agree with you guys. It's pretty much plain simple that Stephen Curry is doing a LeBron sort of ideal, and that he's signing just 1 year deals, and he's looking at the landscape of both the NBA and also what the Warriors are doing, typing what LeBron James is doing. He's looking at the landscape of the NBA and looking at what the Lakers are doing as an organization. And arguably, like I said, Warriors are doing a much better job. They got Kyle Anderson, they got was it DeAndre Melton, and they got one other person. I forgot who. Oh, Buddy Hill. There you go. And they have a good roster to get benefits him and benefits the other players, you could say. So yeah, shout out to Steph for getting that max contract.
So, yo, can you guys hear me? Sorry, my computer's being slow. I'm not sure what's on the agenda, but today's hoop grid on this website where you fill out, I don't know how many of you guys have seen this, but it was a Lakers grid today. So I figured we could try to do this. Basically, you just try to think of the most rare person possible. And I figured we could always clip this for content if we want. So if you guys want to go ahead and do this, it's something we could do. But if we don't have time, all good too. What do you guys think?
Yeah, there's nothing else. Like I said, today is a relatively no news day for the Lakers. They had some Jeanie Bus news. Of course, most of our news, or these topics, will come from, of course, our hosts and also the chat. And like I said, thank you everybody who participated. And yeah, let's get to the game.
Okay, cool. So you guys please chime in and tell me. This one is an overlap of Kobe Bryant and Robert Horry, which is kind of hard, but the whole grid is Lakers theme. So basically you want to think of the most rare person possible. The thing is if it's like a Kobe Bryant teammate and Lakers, you don't need to think of someone who played on the Lakers with Kobe. It's just someone who played with Kobe. I mean, obviously they did because Kobe was only on the Lakers, but I guess Shaq's a better example. Like they could have played with Shaq in Orlando and then also played on the Lakers. As far as like these ones go. So do you guys have any ideas for any of these? Feel free.
Top left, the first random name I got was Eldon Campbell. I think so.
How do you spell that?
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, there you go. We got a diamond already.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's because he was on that 96-97 team with when the Lakers when Kobe was young, and obviously
nice.
Before 2 years. So yeah,
perfect. Trying to think through some here. Derek Fisher played with a lot of teams, so you probably want to think of the other teams he was on. Who else was Derek Fisher on? I'm forgetting now.
Is it like any teammate he was on or connected to the Lakers?
Oh, sorry. So this one has to be a teammate that he has in common with Robert Horry. But then like bottom right is anyone who was on the Lakers, and also they played with Derek Fisher. So if they played with Fisher in like Dallas or wherever else he was at.
Oh, okay. So like the left column. Okay, I got you. All right, bet. All right, so Derek Fisher, teammate who played with Robert Horry.
I mean, I don't know how random this is, but I think Horace Grant played with both. Yeah, it's just not that random.
Yeah.
Wait, I think you're muted, Alex.
Okay, there we go. I was gonna say like gold is pretty good, but like, are we allowed to like go back if we think of a more rare person?
Yes.
Go back to this one.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Except unless you do it on the last one. The last one, it'll just like.
Okay. Should we do like Kobe and Lakers last then, so that we can have all the time to think of the rarest
Yes.
one? Then
Yeah, you
I
should
think
do
so.
one like that last.
Shaq was also on a lot of teams as well.
Yeah.
Wizards, Celtics, Cavs, a lot of other teams as well. So yeah.
Do you think Avery Bradley was on the Celtics by that point?
No, he wasn't.
I don't
Shaq.
think so.
Oh, he was? Oh, damn. He was on the team.
I guess he overlapped with Shaq somewhere. One of those. I'll probably try to go back and get diamonds, but we'll see. Shaq probably played with everyone in the NBA too, so we could think of the most random 2000s player.
The first team I thought was like Shaq teammate played in the 2000s was like it was like a European guy. He always shouts out like, I forgot his name. It was like Big Slava Claus or something like he always mentioned his name, but I forgot his name. Like he always mentioned him during like his interviews. For his name, radio. I don't want to cheat looking at line, so.
Yeah, that's fair.
Horry Shaq. Like the first I don't know if like Mario Ellie played with Shaq. I know he played Robert Horry on that Houston Rockets team, but I don't remember if he ever played with Shaq. Mario Ellie.
But you said he was with Robert Horry. Oh yeah, he just didn't play with Shaq, I guess.
Like I forget like most random names, you know.
Oh, dude, why does it keep pulling up ads in the corner? There you go.
So Derek Fisher played in the 2000s.
Well, what were those other Derek Fisher teams, Alan?
Oh, he played for Golden State, and he also played for the Utah Jazz in the mid 2000s, and obviously, of course, after the Lakers, it was
OKC.
The OKC, and then he played for Dallas, I believe, for like a short time.
Where'd it
go? One particular is it can go to either Kobe Bryant or Derek Fisher, but like Sun Yu. I don't know if you guys remember that name, Sun Yu.
Oh yeah, on the Lakers.
It can go to the bottom right for your bottom left or bottom right for Derek or Kobe.
Oh, there you go. You got another diamond.
Yeah, shout out.
I'm sorry, Alex. I know we said we'd do that one last.
No, that's a good one though. So we got it. We got a rare one anyway, so that's good.
Nick Collison.
Yeah. Nick Collison didn't work. I tried it.
Do you think Ryan Gomez would be more?
I thought it was right there on the screen. Okay.
Oh no, it worked. It just wasn't rare. My bad.
Okay, yeah.
Do you think Ryan Gomez would be more or less rare?
Ryan Gomez.
Then who? Then Collison?
Because like I know Ryan Gomez was in OKC, but also he had some years before that. I'm guessing.
Oh shit!
Oh, what is that? What is that?
I'm so smart. I'm so smart.
Is that Galaxy?
I haven't even heard of that. Galaxy.
It's crazy.
If it was like the KD era Thunder, then like I knew a little bit. If it's KD era like Thunder, Thunder, then yeah.
Yeah, I know Ryan Gomez mostly during his Minnesota tenure, but I'd imagine people would have thought of him. So I'm surprised by that.
What about Karl Malone? That's not famous enough.
No.
Oh wait, what about Kobe Karl?
Kobe Karl. Oh yeah, Kobe Karl.
I think he was on the Lakers. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool.
0.2.
Like 08 team or something. But
Dang.
I don't know if he made it fit.
So now it just
Like,
has to
he was-
be okay. Play with Shaq and Robert Horry for the top one. Play with Shaq and
like-
Robert Horry.
What was
Bro,
Or
Robert
Shaq
Horry's
in
team?
2000.
Besides,
Like,
what was Robert Horry's teams?
Oh,
Was
he
it
was on the
Suns?
Spurs.
Spurs.
Yeah, Spurs, Suns,
think one
Rockets, and of course
Rockets.
Bro, what?
Trying to think of names. I'm trying to think of like some cooler names that people don't know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Because most of our names are like easy.
Yeah.
Joe
Wait.
Smith. Nah, I know Joe was a teammate of Kobe Bryant because he was on like the 2011 team or like 2012 team. I remember, but
Okay.
he was never a teammate of Shaq's, I believe.
Oh, then he would fit for this.
We gotta think. Okay, just
Yeah.
really.
Yo.
Oh yeah.
So we'll come back to the golds and do one of these last.
Yeah.
Probably the
So we're thinking about
2000
okay,
Shaq.
2000 Shaq, and then we have Shaq and Robert Horry as teammates, right?
That's the
Or
one we should
teammates
do.
with both. So it would have to be, if it's super rare, it would have to be like a bench player, like maybe either just really, not to use the word mid, or out of the league type of situation.
Or even like they played maybe 3 games together in total.
True.
Something like that as well.
Oh,
Oh
Ryan
my
Scalabrine.
Oh, no.
What's the most random name? Rarity scored 6.70.
Was Ori on the Suns or no? Because I know Shaq was.
I think so.
But
Shaq was also on the Heat with a bunch of those guys. Like, did Ori play with like a Haslam type of guy?
no,
Probably no, because he wasn't on the
No.
Heat.
But I think Robert Horry did have a Suns stint though, I think.
I think one name I thought of. Oh, wait, no, was he teammates with Shaq? Like one name was it for play 2000s and play with Shaq. First thing I thought was Brian Grant.
Wait, that might be it.
That's a oh my
no.
Oh
god.
no.
I was about to say that's
Or-
a crazy pull. I can't
Or
lie.
it was like what's his name? Is it Brian Grant or like Brian Cook? I forgot what's the name.
Oh, maybe.
There's a lot of Brians in this world.
He was like
so
bald and he played like power forward for the Lakers. I remember that. I know. I think we in the play 2000s because he was there a teammate of Robert.
Oh, in the
Horry.
2000 spot.
No, there we go. All right, we
Elite
should
pool.
probably try to do. We should do
The
the
golds.
the gold ones. Yeah,
Lakers gold.
just try at least.
Let's go
I
with.
can't believe Avery Bradley played with Shaq. Honestly,
So it's just a Laker who played with Shaq.
a Laker with Shaq, but it didn't have to be when Shaq was on the Lakers. Like the ideal would be one of Shaq's other teams, and that person also played on the Lakers. That's
Also, pretty much
Oh.
any person who's
ever
any
been on the
person
Lakers,
who's
but just so
ever been on the
happens
Lakers
to play with
who
Shaq
played
at
with-
some point as well.
But over,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh,
yeah.
that's crazy. What?
That's insane.
Wait, I wonder if this person played.
For Lakers, Shaq, try Anthony Parker.
Anthony Parker, that's so crazy.
Ah, no. Because I feel like he did play for Lakers, so I could be wrong. I'm trying to think. Shaq teammate Shaq.
So they had to have played with Shaq before, right?
Yes, but not. Oh gosh, how
Not at the same.
Not on the Lakers.
Not
Not-
on the Lakers. Okay.
yeah.
I need to check out this name because I don't think he played. with Shaq ever, but it's worth a shot.
Wait, what name are you thinking?
I was thinking Jeremy Lin because he played one season on the Lakers, but I don't know if he ever played with
But
Shaq.
he came into the league after Shaq.
Oh yeah,
Barely.
you're right. I'm
I
tripping.
think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. Dang, because that was like late, like 2000. Yeah.
Oh wait, this guy was on the Lakers and the Heat, right?
Jason Capona. Yeah, but
There you
Oh
go.
shoot.
yeah,
So
That's
then
crazy.
Fisher and Ori. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of like maybe the Jazz team or something.
Mm.
Like was Millsap over there yet? Because I don't know
No.
if people know.
I'm trying to. I feel like there's an overlap between like Golden State Warriors, Derek
Yeah.
Fisher, and like Robert Horry Spurs. I feel like there's like an overlap there a bit.
Maybe.
Who is that dude? Like Bruce Bowen.
Oh wow.
No.
Well, when I think of Bruce Bowen, I think of him being the Spurs. I'll think of any other team.
Yeah, that's fair.
Dang. All right, so Robert Horry and Derek Fisher.
If it can't be like the Lakers, like it can't be like a Nick Van Exel or like a Eddie Jones because that would be too specific.
Yeah.
That's for sure. You're gonna get high percentage for that one. So
Oh, what about Finley on the Mavs? No.
Finley. I thought like Antonio McDyess, but no, I don't think they're on the same roster.
You want me to try that one?
No, because I think Antonio McDyess was on the Spurs after Horry retired. I think so. Like McDyess went to like Spurs like 08 or something.
When exactly was Horry on the Suns again? Oh my gosh. I'm like trying to
He
remember.
Like 94, 95 probably. Because he
Oh,
came
like a
in
long
like
time ago.
96, 97 the Lakers because he had a 1 year stint because he got in trouble for almost trying to punch or fight the Phoenix Suns head coach.
Huh?
There's
That's
one
crazy.
dude on teams with a lot of people. No.
Because I was gonna say like D Brown or something, but I feel like that's like a little bit after the Robert Horry era, so I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Like
there's
D
so many
Brown.
Browns. Yeah, I shouldn't have done it like that. Oh wait, is that
Yeah.
a different?
No, I was talking about. Yeah, no.
There's
Neither of them
two,
work.
like-
So. I was thinking
There's
about the 2006 one. I
D
didn't
Brown.
realize there was a.
What about Darren Williams, Jazz?
No.
What about Ronnie Brewer? Nope.
I was gonna like Dennis Rodman, but like I feel like Dennis Rodman would be too high.
Well, people may not think of that though.
May not know about the overlap, maybe?
Yeah.
We can just see. I mean, it's gold anyways. We might as well experiment.
Yeah,
Oh, so it was gold. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
but it
what
was like
about
lower.
Horace?
at a low percentage.
Did we do Horace Grant yet?
I think we did.
First
It's
round
not
higher than Dennis.
Yeah.
I think that's what we had before we switched it to Rodman.
No, yeah, it was. I think so.
Trying to get of the most random Lakers bench player, and that's hard because we already used Eldon Campbell for that one for Kobe.
Eldon Campbell was a crazy pull too. I can't lie.
Yeah, off the top of the head is crazy.
Yeah, not the Eldon Campbell, man. After the Lakers, he went to the Charlotte Hornets. I remember.
You remember?
I remember.
What about this guy Matt Bonner?
Matt Barr, our teammates. Nah,
He definitely was with Fisher.
Matt Barr was a Spur for. Or no, he did play for Toronto, I think.
Oh, there's another guy who is like on a ton of teams, Beno Udrith. But that was after Ori's time.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to think. Okay, so like, because Robert Horry retired in like
How high
mid 2000s, right?
How high would be Byron Scott? Oh wait, what would be the percentage on Byron Scott for that top right corner?
Oh, we barely snuck in there. I mean, I would move on after that.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point, yeah.
Yeah, because he was on that 96 team. Or like 96.
And they don't have a Byron Scott picture?
That's crazy. That's crazy.
What about this dude I always see on Twitter, Rex Chapman? No.
He played for like Washington.
What about Ceballos on the Lakers?
Ceballos.
Nope. Never mind.
Dude, Robert Horry is giving us so much trouble. This is crazy.
I think
No, I mean we got Diamond. Let's do the Shaq Ori teammate. There's more options there. I mean, some of the names we just said could have been like. No, never mind.
The overlap would be like Suns, Orlando Magic, Shaq. Suns, Robert Horry, and Orlando Magic, Shaq.
Or Heat Shaq.
Heat Shaq. I feel like there is a ton of like Spurs players who moved on.
Yeah.
Who went to Miami. Like I feel like Spurs, you went to like some obscure team.
Yeah, I think the rarest ones might be like a Magic overlap though, because that's like Shaq in the mid 90s and then Horry in the mid 90s as well. That might be the rarest ones, is like a Shaq Magic team.
Oh, I know someone who was a Spur and a Sun.
Oh.
Boris Dio.
We gotta realize that unfortunately Shaq and Robert Horry are both Unk status. So we gotta think old.
Let's try.
That's my maybe grandfather status.
Maybe it could be a high percentage, but let's go with Brett Barry. Oh,
I'm surprised.
What?
Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr?
No way.
Steve Kerr.
That'd be insane.
No way.
That's crazy.
Robert Horry, I know that.
He would have had to play on the Lakers or Magic, though, and I don't think he did. I mean, Penny Hardaway probably did both, but he's famous.
Robin Lopez.
I was born in 02. I don't know how much help I'm gonna be.
Yeah, I was born in 2001 too.
I was born in 02, so like I would have to like think really far. So like how much history?
Was that on the Lakers? Matt
I did
Barnes.
No. Older player, man.
Yeah, it was for sure Adam Bona. For sure.
Adam Bona. 2024.
We're gonna need a legendary pool here.
I remember him a little bit in New York. Do you think Anthony Hardaway would like have any?
Well, I said that. I just didn't think it was rare enough.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, because once we put it in, it's final or something.
It's done.
Right?
Yeah. It's because the last player.
Yeah. Oh, this is crazy. Yeah. So, all right. So we're saying the best chance is a Magic intercept. Or are you saying that's what y'all are saying?
Suns
Magic or Suns?
Shaq Magic.
Oh. I'm not sure how big of it. No, it could be a high percentage, but the first person I thought of was Brian Shaw.
Yeah, Brian Shaw. What year was Shaq on the Suns?
Oh, we got gold, but
Hey, we'll
still
take it.
pretty good. Yeah,
take
pretty
it.
good one. Yeah, I can't change it. Oh, we got 90. We're better than 97.92.
That's
So
pretty
that
good.
so for those
For what
watching,
we're
that's the type of Lakers fans we are. We're in the 97, 98 percentile. Yeah.
Isn't there a part where you can check where like people had higher? Was it
Yes. There's
I
a
need to see.
leaderboards, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't show the people that they put.
Probably squads.
Like
oh, dang! It just showed.
There's
you
a
the
unicorn.
percentages.
yeah, the unicorn
Whoa.
ones, they're the only person to put that in the world.
What?
Oh shoot!
I mean, we had some better than some of theirs. These ones.
They had two. I think it's because they had 2 unicorns. That really.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What is that? Like a 0.00?
It's just 0. It's just no one put it.
Dang.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for the hoop grid. We'll come back. We will come back to that, I'm sure, in the future.
No, that's dope.
Sometimes it takes a while to think about it, but you know, it's fun. It's a good thing to do.
No, that was a
All right,
fun man.
Yeah, close us out, Alan.
But yeah. Thank you everybody who joined. We'll be on Jake's Twitter. We'll play it back on YouTube. As always, give a like, subscribe, go on our Spotify, give us a 5-star review on there. We have our latest podcast from last week, and of course, we'll get this one later in the week for this one, this week's podcast. And yeah, as always, have a great rest of your day. Drop a follow on all our social platforms. Our link tree will be dropped after this podcast. And yeah, as always, have a great rest of your day. That's all always. And go Lakers. Peace, everybody.
Peace out, guys.
Peace.